how war and global uncertainty are really affecting the real estate market, especially for sellers today. Let's talk about something that's coming up more and more right now: war, global instability, economic uncertainty, and how all of that connects to real estate. Because if you've been paying attention, you've seen the headlines, you've heard the conversation, and you probably asked yourself the same questions most sellers are asking right now. Is this going to affect home values? Is this going to affect mortgage rates? Should I sell now or wait? And here's the truth: there is a lot of noise right now, a lot of opinions, a lot of fear, and a lot of assumptions, but very little clear explanation. So today, I want to break this down in a way that actually makes sense so you can understand what's really happening, what matters, and what does not. Hi, my name is Rima Rafeh with eXp Realty, with the Rafeh Group here in Santa Clarita Valley. If you are thinking about selling in 2026, this is one of the most important conversation you can hear, because this is not about reacting to headlines, it's about understanding how the market actually moves so you can make decisions from clarity, not fear. Now let's start with the biggest misconception. War or global conflict does not directly crash the housing market. That's not how this works. Real estate doesn't react instantly to headlines. It reads to what those headlines do to the economy. And there are three things that matter more than anything else right now: inflation, interest rates, and buyer confidence. Everything else feeds into these three. So let's slow that down. When global uncertainty increases, market react. Energy prices can rise. Supply chains can tighten. Costs increase. And when costs increase, inflation pressure builds. Now, when inflation stays elevated, the Federal Reserve has to respond. And when the Federal Reserve responds, interest rates move. That's the chain reaction. Not war directly affecting your home, but war affecting inflation, and inflation affecting rates, and rates affecting buyers. Now let's talk about why interest rate matters so much, because this is where everything shows up in real life. Buyers do not shop by price anymore. They shop by payment. That's the shift. A buyer looking at a home is not just thinking about the purchase price. They are thinking, what is going to cost me every single month? And when rates move, even slightly, that monthly numbers changes. And when that number changes, that behavior changes as well. So in a stable environment, buyers feel confident. They move forward. They make decisions faster. In a volatile environment where rates are moving, where headlines are heavy, buyers hesitate. They slow down. They analyze more, and they question more. And that hesitation is what sellers feel. Now here's where things get misunderstood. Slower activity does not mean no demand. It means different behavior. Buyers are still out there. Homes are still selling, but the process feels different. It feels quieter, and it feels slower, and it feels less certain. And that's what creates stress for sellers. And now let's take deeper into an idea of the buyer psychology, because this is where most sellers lose the opportunity. In 2026, buyers are not emotional the way they were a few years ago. They are analytical, they are cautious, and they are trying to avoid making mistakes. And when people are trying to avoid making mistakes, they no longer compare more, they negotiate harder, and they walk away a lot faster. So if you are a seller expecting urgency and expecting multiple offers and expecting buyers to figure it out, you're going to feel like something is wrong, but nothing is wrong. The behavior has just changed. Now let's talk about what that looks like in real life. You list your home, you expect showings immediately, you expect activity, but instead things feel slower. Maybe fewer showings than expected, maybe buyers come through but don't write, and maybe you get feedback that feels more critical than before. And it's easy to take that personally, but this is not about your home being worse. It's about buyers being more careful. Now let's connect that to pricing, because this is where everything comes real. In volatile and uncertain environment, prices becomes everything. Not important, everything, because buyers are not stretching. They are not overpaying, and they're not ignoring the value gaps. If your home feels even slightly overpriced, buyers don't negotiate, they don't engage, and they don't even show up. They just move on to the next one. And that's the biggest shift sellers need to understand. In the past, you could price high and expect activity. Today, if you price high, you risk invisibility. And invisibility leads to silence. And silence leads to time on the market. And let's talk about time on the market, because this is where real damage happens. When home sits, buyers start asking questions. What's wrong with it? Why hasn't it sold? Is the seller is unrealistic? And once that perception starts, it's very hard to reverse. That's why the first 2 weeks on the market are critical. That's when you have the most attention. That's when buyers are watching. And that's when agents are showing. And if you miss that window with incorrect pricing, you don't get that momentum back. Now let's talk about the connection between global uncertainty and the timing. When the world feels uncertain, buyers don't rush into new listings the same way. They observe first, they compare, they wait for clarity. That means your strategy as a seller becomes even more important. You cannot rely on market momentum. You have to create it. Let's shift into strategy, because this is where sellers win or lose. Sellers who are winning right now are not guessing. They are positioning. They are pricing based on current competition, not past sales. They're prepared their home to feel move-in ready, and they're creating confidence in buyers' mind. Because in cautious market, confidence is everything. Buyers are not asking, do I like this home? They are asking, do I feel safe buying this home at this price in this market? And if the answer is yes, they move forward. If the answer is a maybe, they wait. And if the answer is no, they disappear. Now let's talk about something else happening right now that most sellers are not paying attention to. Over listings. Not global war, but technological competition. Who controls the listing, where it's marketed, how it's distributed. This matters more than ever because visibility affects demand. And if your home is not positioned correct across platforms, you lose exposure, and in a slower market, every buyer matters. Now let's bring this back to the bigger picture. Global uncertainty does not stop real estate. It reshapes behavior, and it changes speed. It changes expectations, and sellers who understand that adjust early. So what should you actually do if you're selling in today's environment? First, stop reacting to headlines. Headlines are designed to create emotion, not strategy. Second, understand your local market, not just national trends. Real estate is hyper-local. Third, price based on today's condition, not yesterday's expectations. And fourth, prepare your home to reduce buyer hesitation. And fifth, work with a strategy, not a guess. Because guessing in this market is very expensive. Let's talk about timing one more time, because I know this is the biggest question. Should you wait or should you sell now? And here's the reality. There will always be uncertainty somewhere. There will always be something happening globally. Waiting for to protect conditions, it's not realistic. What matters is how you position your home in the market you're in. Homes are still selling every single day. Strong homes are still getting attention. But the homes that win are the ones that feel right for the buyer with the right price, the right condition, and the right presentation. And that's the shift. So if you take anything from this conversation today, let it be this. The market is not collapsing. It's evolving. Buyers are not gone. They are cautious. And sellers who understand that will sell faster, negotiate stronger, and move forward with confidence instead of confusion. If you're thinking about selling and want a strategy based on real data, real buyer behavior, and today's condition, I'd love to help you navigate that. My name is Rima Rafay with the Rafay Group eXp Realty. Hope you like this video. Please subscribe, like, and share, and we'll see you on the next one.